Hi guys, been getting plenty of requests after my two videos of batting to share a few thoughts on the mental side of the game, and I think the mental side of the game is incredibly important. In fact, I think probably 90–95% of the game is mental and about decision making. So I'm going to share a few things that I think are important about the mental side of the game. First of all, we'll start with visualization. So I do a lot of that. Unfortunately, I do most of it when I should be sleeping, and it stops me from doing that. But I like to think about who I'm coming up against. So for instance, say I'm playing against England in an Ashes game, and I think about Stuart Broad and where he's likely to bowl to me, where I'm going to score my runs. I picture him running in at me. I picture hitting the ball through the gap and going to the boundary. Same with, James Anderson or Chris Wokes or Ben Stokes, those guys running in at me and thinking of how they're trying to get me out. Even just playing a nice forward defence, visualising that, and or a nice leave. Just seeing them running in at me and playing the ball and doing that over and over again and getting a feel for it at the same time, just thinking about how I'm going to play, how I'm going to score runs, how I'm going to survive. I think that's really important. So if you can, I think set aside a time to visualize. I should probably do that a bit better instead of doing it while I'm sleeping, but I'm still getting that visualization in. The next thing I think is routine. I think routine's really important. So for me, I do the same thing every time I walk to the crease. From the moment just before I cross the rope to go out on the field, I do the same thing all the way to the middle. I do the same thing once I get to the middle, and then I do the same thing every ball. So that's, I mess around with myself and touch a few different parts of my body. I do one in the middle, 2 taps behind my foot. I look up again, I do 2 taps behind my foot, then I do 1 tap, and then I'm good to play. And I do that every ball. So it's just something to go back to. And that way I can just think about my routine and not worry or think too much about what's going on at the other end, because I've done all that. I've done all the visualizing, I know what's happening, and it's just about playing the ball now. So I do that every ball, and in between balls, if say I forward defend one, nothing's happening, ball's dead, walk away, switch off for a little bit, give yourself a few seconds, because we can't be focused the whole time. So if you get a chance to switch your brain off and just relax for a few seconds, I think that's important. So I walk to square leg, a few steps that way, and just mess around. I look at things on the ground. If there's loose bits of turf, I kind of hit them away, and I just sort of switch off, and then I get back to the crease and go through my routine again every ball. And I think that's really important. Also, when you're at the other end, you're at the non-strikers end, I think it's important to switch off down there. You're not facing. Obviously, you want to be helping your mate out as much as you can at the other end, but that's a time for you to switch off and give your mind a chance to have a break. Because if you're going to bat for long periods of time, you can't be focused the whole time. You've got to switch your brain off, switch it back on, switch it off, switch it on, and I think that's really important. The next one, I think I guess probably my final bit of advice is, for me, it's important to let go of urges out in the middle and catch my thinking. So particularly in the longer form of the game, where you want to bat for long periods of time, you want to be out in the middle batting. So you can't score runs back in the shed. So for me, catching my thoughts are really important. So if I get a thought in my mind where I'm feeling really good and I just want to smack someone, that happens every now and again. I just want to smack someone, and a lot of the time if I try and do it, it'll probably come off. But you have to be able to think and say, is this the right thing for the team right now? If I get out, or if I don't execute the way I want to do, what does that look like? And where am I going to be? And if I mess it up, there's a good chance I'll be back in the pavilion and I'll be angry at myself for making a mistake. So catch my thought and say, right, no, it's not time to do that. It's time to just focus on the ball and play whatever comes at me. I think you can, the shorter the formats go, so one day cricket and T20 cricket, you can let those thoughts come in sometimes and you can give in to those urges. You know, T20 cricket's about scoring runs at a pretty good rate. So, you know, more improvisation, more, you know, premeditation. You can do that in the shorter formats of the game because you can take more risks. But for me, particularly in the long form of the game, it's catching my thoughts as they're happening, not waiting until I've made a mistake and then catching it afterwards and being angry at myself back in the sheds. It's catching it before it actually happens. So for me, I think those are the most important things. You know, obviously batting for long periods of time, you've got to concentrate for long periods of time. So in the nets, concentrate on, you know, facing each ball, training as if you're playing, being disciplined with yourself, not getting out in the nets, because you can train really bad habits. So discipline, catching your thoughts, routines, and visualization. They're the big ones for me when it comes to the mental side of the game. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video so far. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, we'll do another one of these soon. Cheers. Hi guys, back here with you again today to share with you what I think is the second authentic swing. We went over the first one the other day, which was using more of this top hand and getting your foot pointing in the direction that you want to hit the ball. With this second swing, it's about being a bit more powerful and trying to clear the rope. So your bottom hand comes into play a lot more, and I'm going to share with you what I think you know, are the fundamentals and what's important for me when I'm trying to hit the ball as far as I can. First of all, I want to stay side on for as long as possible. So it's a bit different to the first swing where we want to get our foot open and use this hand. So I think we want to try and keep this foot locked in for as long as possible. And what that does is just keeps your hips locked in. See, I can't really move around and get front on, whereas like this, my hips come round. So if I'm trying to hit the ball a long way like this, I'm losing a lot of power. So keeping my hips locked in for as long as possible. The things I guess have and try and implement into my game to help me keep myself locked in, I'll show you my stance from side on. I close my front foot off a little bit because it naturally wants to open up, and my hips as well, they want to open up. So if I lock my foot in a little bit, it's just got further to move to get round to open up, so hopefully helping me stay side on. The other thing I do is, I'll show you from this way, this is my normal stance, I'll move my foot round and lock myself off, so the same thing applies. It just helps me just not go as far around when I'm trying to really muscle the ball, keeping me side on. You think of other sports where guys are trying to smack the ball as far as they can, like golf or baseball. You see golfers, they're side on for as long as they can, they keep their hips locked in, and then they get a full swing at the bat. Baseball, the same. You don't see them standing up like this. You see them staying side on, keeping their hips locked as long as they can, and letting their bat go for as far as possible. I think that's also important. When you're trying to hit the ball as far as you can, you don't want to be stopping your swing here. You want your swing to be able to go all the way through, therefore creating the most power off the bat. I think someone that does that really well is Rishabh Pant. You watch him when he's trying to hit a six, he gives it his all, he watches the ball close, but he still just lets his bat go, and you can see the back of his bat come out the back like this. And he hits a lot of sixes that go a very long way. So those are the things that I think are really important. Remember, staying side on for me, that is the most important thing. Hope you guys can have a crack at that. Let me know what you think, and we'll be back with some more videos again soon. Hi guys, I've been getting loads of requests come through on Instagram from particularly young kids wanting me to share some hints and tips on batting, so I thought I'd share a few with you. We'll share one today and I'll share another one in a few days' time. So I want to talk about
the two swings, the two authentic swings I think that each player has. So I think you've got your good shape swing where you use a lot more of your top hand, and your second swing is where you've got using a lot more of your bottom hand and you're trying to smack the ball. And they're the two authentic swings I think you've got. So with your first one, with your top hand, I think one thing that is neglected a lot is your feet and the way of which your feet are pointing. So for me, as a kid, when I grew up, I was taught to point my foot in the direction I want to hit the ball. So if I want to hit the ball straight back past the bowler, my foot needs to be pointing in that direction. Why? It enables me to bend over my front foot and get my head over the ball and bring my bat through on a nice plane. I think a lot of kids and even professional players nowadays neglect to bring their foot around to that straight line to enable the bat to come through. They keep their foot pointing towards cover. In turn, your knee, when you bend and you transfer your weight, is bending that way. Your head falls over. It's hard to bring your bat through in a straight line on a good plane. You hit your knee, you play around your front pad, you get yourself in all sorts of trouble. You start nicking off because your bat's coming through on an angle. So it's important to get this foot nice and straight. I think a couple of drills, I remember as a young kid, I used to set up cones, one on leg stump, one on about middle stump, and one on just outside off stump. And I practice with good shape, hitting the ball in the direction I want to hit it, getting my foot there and exaggerating that movement. Mid on, straight, mid off. I think if you're a bit more advanced, you can get someone to throw you balls and you're only allowed to hit them straight. You're only allowed to hit them straight back past you, getting your foot in a good position. And the person throwing to you can watch you, and if your foot's staying closed, they can give you feedback and say, no, that's not right. Get it back to nice and open. You're not allowed to hit the ball through the leg side, as much as I love doing that, but you've got to just hit the ball straight, defending straight as well. Practice a few defensive shots, do 30 defense, 30 drives, 30 defense, 30 drives, and then just mix and match, depending on the length. If it's a bit shorter, defend it. If it's a bit fuller, drive it. You can do that with the bowling machine as well, if you're a bit more advanced, but that's a great drill to I guess, get that muscle memory of your foot pointing in the right direction, helping your bat come through on a nice plane, and it'll help you score a lot of runs down the ground. So there's the first swing. Hope you guys enjoy that. I'll share the second one with you in a few days' time, and I hope to hear your feedback.